initial reaction was just like this feeling of being distraught, specifically about the violence that they faced on top of the sexual abuse was really, really jarring.
I had been going up and down the stairs before today, and I thought they were just left blank, which also worked for me, honestly. I was kind of feeling the blank myself, but having the opportunity to actually hold a light and read what they are really slowed me down. So it wasn't quite like I'm just going from point A to point B and glancing at what's going on.
I like the part that it was interactive, first of all, and I've heard about stories about these, comfort women who were forcefully enslaved as like sexual slaves during the World War II, but kind of reading their stories again made me sad, honestly.
I think it was the fourth step that really got me. I think it said something along the lines of they were forcefully taken from their homes and raped inside their homes, like with their parents even watching. It's just so crazy, and then as you keep on going higher and higher and finding out more and more of the story, it hurts. It hurts my heart that this is even a thing, a story that has happened in our past.
Whenever I've heard about stories that will take away the freedom of the people, I really, it's really sad for me, especially for women.
Almost crying. Mostly because it's like, you hear stories, but it's like hard to believe it until you start seeing like mass people of like going and testifying and everything, and it's like all we want is an apology. And I think that's really heartwarming and touching, but also heartbreaking at the same time that nothing has been done about it.
I was holding back all the thoughts and feelings because it definitely wanted to bring a tear to my eye. Just reading those stories, I was shocked and surprised at just how terrible and malicious some of those activities were, as though it seems like many of those people who ran those organizations just didn't have a soul, and they chose to abuse innocent people, innocent children, which was just absolutely terrible. And it's just really bad. And it's familiar to me because those type of activities have definitely happened all around the world. And slaves being used and abused.
Of course, the first thing I had was sadness. I read a lot of things even I didn't know before, and it was kind of emotionally shocked. So I was really sad when I read the detailed stories of each, names.
I thought the blacklight revealing of like the more like horrific and explicit details was really such a great way to underline the like sweeping under the rug and blatant ignoring of like the Japanese government and like them hiding it.
I love the Japanese people, and I mean my stigma with them are just a great, wonderful society. And so it was also disappointing to see how the Japanese government tried to hush this entire situation, trying to hide the history.
I can't even imagine like that weight that these women had to carry for their whole lives and never got the recognition, or it never got recovered or talked about in ways that it should have been.
And it was really like sad and also cool to see how so many of the women like did so many incredible things afterwards, and how a lot of them were painters or fought for legal action or joined like activist groups. And it's so fascinating to see how hard of a life they had, but then they were able to do something on top of that. And I think that just speaks to the women's strength.
I was reading one of the survivors was involved in the U.S. Congress, and they even reached out to the Japanese government to like demand an apology. It's wild that it was even, reached our government after the war, and we'd never learned about it.
The story is quite famous among my Koreans. Like, we grew up learning about it as kids. It was in our history books, and there were a lot of documentaries that I saw about it, but I've always thought that it is a little sad that these stories are not really well known in like other parts of the world.
It hits home really hard because my parents are immigrants from Vietnam War as Hmong people, and so seeing history being, told is really nice to see, considering that people don't know, and when they do hear it, they're like, oh wow, I never heard about this. That's so shocking. Why did this happen? And it's like, well, we constantly sweep a lot of things under the rug, and I think it's just really nice to see things like this showing up in Arkansas.
As a female South Korean, citizen, I always have been aware of the stories. It has been invisible stories. So I think this is really important to represent their existence, and the stories. Doing the research is making voice. So, and also doing artwork about the invisible stories is really, really powerful. So thank you very much for your work.
I definitely want to look further into the stories of these things that have happened.
Before you did this project, I'd never heard anything about this. And now I think it's something I'm going to think about a lot.